Our story today is of a country like Japan where giant creatures called kaiju appear anytime, who are the biggest enemies of humanity. But despite this, the residents here have been living their normal life without any fear and hesitation till date, because a force called Defense Force protects people by risking their lives. Similarly, one day a 60-meter giant kaiju was seen in the city of Yokohama, whose fortitude was 3.5, which shows how powerful the kaiju is. The entire city was put on kaiju alert, and efforts were being made to evacuate that place as soon as possible by taking the people to a safe place. The body of this kaiju was very big and powerful, on which even the missile attack seemed useless. Then the Defense Force officer of the 3rd Division comes there, who was very skilled in his work. His weapons were also powerful, which rip apart the body of that kaiju. The weapon of one of them destroys the core of the giant kaiju, due to which it exploded and spread all around. Now after this, we are shown our main protagonist Kafka Hibino, who is eating a burger. Our hero is a cleaner whose job is to clean the pieces of the cashews from the city. All the people of the city were celebrating the victory of the 3rd Division. Even this news was being broadcast on national TV. At the same time, Kafka was also passing by there. Then he stops on hearing a name. That name was Captain Mina, who had killed that huge cashew. Well, cleaning the cashews is a job that people take lightly, but their work is no less than another war against cashews. If caution is not taken, then people get injured in this too, and at the same time, no matter how big their work is, still their work has no importance. All the credit is taken by the Defense Force. Kafka has come to know that today he will have to clean the intestines, and everyone wants to run away from this work, because while cleaning the intestines they face shit, after which their hunger of many days dies. Even though this work gives them good money, they have to do it, and gives him a house. Still, this job is bad for Kafka. Kafka was trying to stop himself from thinking all these things. Then he sees Captain Mina on TV. Now here we come to know two surprising things. First, that Mina is the captain of the 3rd Division. She is the most popular captain in the whole country. And second, that Kafka was his childhood friend who wanted to join the Defense Force with him. But Kafka is stuck here. He tries to convince himself that his work is also good. Now the next day, when Kafka goes to his job, there he meets a man named Reno who has joined his job part-time today. And Reno also aims to join the Defense Force. A friend of Kafka tells Reno that Kafka also once wanted to join the Defense Force, but now he's given up and is lying here. Kafka asks Kafka the reason for giving up. Here Kafka, becoming a little cool, says that he tried his best, but there is someone more powerful than the powerful. That's why he gave up. And he also says that one day you will also understand this thing. He says that he will never understand because he never accepts defeat, and saying this he leaves that room. Kafka was thinking that none of my answers could save me from being shown as a loser. Is accepting defeat so bad? Well, today on Reno's first day, he has been given the work of intestine. Kafka was happy to hear this, but he is also given the same work, which Kafka does not like at all. He shows his anger, but at last he accepts it. His boss says that Kafka shows some anger, but he does every work well. If he could join the Defense Force, then he would have done well there too. Reno was listening to all this. Now in the break, we see that after doing the work of intestines, Reno's condition has worsened. Kafka was happy to see this, but his condition was also bad. Kafka gives vitamin pack to Reno because now he will not be able to eat food, and also to avoid the smell he asks him to close his nose. Now they thinking how it would look after applying it. Reno was running away, but Kafka forcibly makes him wear it, after which it became evening while they were doing this smelly work, and their companions also finished their work and went home. Then suddenly Reno comes to Kafka. Kafka thought that Reno has come to take revenge for that force, but actually he wanted to thank him because today was because of him that he was able to endure his first day, and he tells Kafka that the age limit for applying in the Defense Force has been increased to 32. He says that he is no one to take decisions about anyone's life, but he saw the sadness on Kafka's face when he accepted that he has given up. But if he was wrong, then Kafka can continue his work. Kafka thanks him, on which Reno gets shy and says that he does not care about him, and then a Yojo comes out from behind him whose food is coming. Kafka saved Reno from becoming a kaiju, which are kaiju that come out from inside a bigger kaiju. Kafka tells Reno to run to save his life and to bring help as soon as possible. Reno did not want to leave Kafka alone there. Kafka says that his life is not important, but Reno wants to join the Defense Force and save people for which he has to stay alive. Reno agrees to Kafka and leaves from there, and Kafka distracts him. He was taking him away from Reno. He somehow enters a building and breaks the front window and comes out. After this, we are shown Kafka's past, in which a big cashew had destroyed their city. Nina's cat was also killed in this. Both of them decide together that they will join the defense force. Kafka used to worry about him. He refuses to let him join the defense force, but then they challenge him that who will be a better defense force officer. Then both of them together will destroy all the cashew. Now the story comes back to the present. That cashew had destroyed that building. Now Kafka decides to face him directly, but he is not able to stand before him for a moment. Kafka had almost cooked his food today, but suddenly Reno came there, who saved Kafka. He tells that help is also going to come here soon. We see that one leg of Kafka is broken. Despite this, he asks Reno that why did he return. Reno replies that if he ran away today, he would never have joined the defense force. He will not be able to become an officer. Then Kafka remembers his result, in which he had failed for the defense force officer. Kafka questions himself that why does he fail in everything? He failed for the defense force officer, failed to keep his promise, and now he is failing to save Reno. Then suddenly a white tiger uproots Yojo's hand, and his head was broken in a single shot. This attack was done by the captain of the 3rd Division, Mina Ashur, i.e. Kafka's childhood friend. After this, he regains consciousness directly in the hospital. There, Kafka was thinking about Kamina, that how strong she has become. Then Reno calls out to him, who was admitted on the bed next to him. He thanks Kafka. If he was not there today, his dead body would have been lying on this bed. Hearing this, Kafka starts remembering the promise he made to Mina that who will become the best defense force officer. Suddenly a voice comes. We see that Kafka hits himself and says, "It is not wrong to accept defeat, but it is wrong to stop by lying to yourself." Kafka had decided his next step. Suddenly, he sees a creature in front of him, who was probably looking for Kafka. That creature had entered Kafka's mouth. Seeing Kafka fluttering, Reno removes the curtain and he sees a 𝐂𝐤𝐲𝐲 there instead of Kafka. Kafka himself was surprised to see his face. Then an old patient, seeing 𝐂𝐤𝐲𝐲𝐲 there, informs the defense force. Now suddenly the story goes back to the past, and we see Chody, Mina, and Kafka. Kafka was teaching Mina how to face Kaiju. Chody Mina was scared of 𝐂𝐤𝐲𝐲's name itself. So Kafka puts his hand on her head and says, "Don't worry, I will always stand with you." Mina was remembering these old things, which makes Kafka lie today. Now the story goes back to the past, and Chody Mina says that nowadays Kafka has started watching more movies, but she also says that as long as Kafka is with her, she will not be afraid of anything. Now the story comes back to the present, and we see the 3rd Division who, according to the information they got, were going to kill 𝐂𝐤𝐲𝐲 scene in the hospital. Here in the hospital, Reno asks Kafka to smile, so that the old man can be convinced that there is no danger from him. But Kafka's smile was also such as if today is the old man's last day. The old man faints. Kafka goes to help him, but the wall breaks just by his touch. Kafka's heart was torn, and the rest of the patients of the hospital also see him. Now Kafka has to run away from here before the defense force arrives. Kafka opens a window, but the entire wall opens, including the window. Even his jump has become stronger than a normal man. Kafka was crying that what is happening to his body. On the other hand, the defense force was also getting information about the creature that had eaten the live bird comes out of his mouth. Suddenly, Kafka gets well on his own, but now he was in a strong attack, and it was almost impossible to control it while running. That is why Kafka releases this pressure from his nipple. Suddenly, Kafka stops. He realizes that he is no longer a man, which means that he will never be able to fulfill his bed dreams. Reno explains to him that there is no time for all these things. The defense force must be coming. Kafka asks him if he will still be able to join the defense force. Reno refuses him. Rather, he will be killed as soon as he is seen. Hearing his words, Kafka gets lost in deep thoughts and thinks that he had just decided to try again, but now he will not be able to even show his face to Mina. Suddenly, Reno sees a closed place. If he goes inside it, no one will be able to find him. But suddenly, Kafka stops again. This was not the voice of the defense force. Rather, it was coming from inside the ground. Suddenly, there is an explosion at one place on the radar. Another 𝐂𝐤𝐲𝐲 signal was seen, The defense force team gets divided into two parts. Here, 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐄 automatically came to know that this is also a 𝐂𝐨𝐻𝐲𝐲𝐫𝐢 like the previous one. Reno tells 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐄𝐿 to hide quickly. We see that at the place where the blast happened. A girl and her mother survived the blast, but her mother is buried under the debris. The girl was trying to take her mother out, but those people came in Kaiju's sight. Kaiju destroys the debris. Her mother repeatedly saves her daughter. She was asking to run away. That Kaiju also had taken him in his mouth, but then 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐄 throws him away with his punch. He himself was surprised to see his strength. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 tries to help that family, but that girl gets scared seeing 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 tries to be friendly by smiling, but this way of it scares that girl even more. In the end, only Reno is able to handle her. Reno tells her that her mother is still alive, but we see that 𝐂𝐲𝐲 was not finished in that attack. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 asks all of them to retreat because he was going to finish everyone in one attack. He charges his body and lands a strong punch on her. 𝐂𝐲's body was blasted with this force. Its pieces spread all over the city. There's a rain of blood. Reno was also worried now that what has happened to 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 asked Reno to take the girl's mother to the hospital, but that girl was still scared seeing 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 comes to her and says that he is leaving from here, so now there is no need to be afraid, after which 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 starts leaving from there. Then that girl calls 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 and thanks him. That girl's thanks awakens a new hope in 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂 that he can still stand equal to Mina and fight every Kaiju with her. We see that 𝐾𝐈𝐒𝐂's Kaiju form has started disappearing. After this, when the defense force comes here, they were surprised to see 𝐂𝐲𝐲 in such a condition. They try to talk to that girl, but she was very scared due to the accident. Mina promises her that she will destroy every Kaiju, and hearing this, that girl becomes a little sad. Seeing which, Mina was also surprised, and the girl takes a promise from Mina that Mina will not kill that good Kaiju. That girl's words shocked Mina. Well, 3 months have passed since this accident, and the defense force is still trying to find that hospital Kaiju, whom they have given the code name Kaiju number 8 in the history of the defense force. This was the first time that a Kaiju could escape from the defense force for such a long time. In these 3 months, the results of Reno and 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 have also come. Reno had passed the exam, and now he is going to give 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂's result to him. But Reno himself was tensed about 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂𝐂's result. He checks 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂𝐂's result and smiles on seeing it. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂's friends also understood that this time 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 has passed the exam. He goes and tells this to 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂, who is having lunch in his Kaiju form. Reno beats him and asks him to fix his face, but even now his teeth were left like monsters. He shouts at him and says how the defense force is searching for him like crazy in the whole country. We come to know that on that day these people had gone back to the hospital and pretended in front of everyone as if he himself had also hidden by giving Kaiju. Anyway, Reno shows 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂𝐂's result, but 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂𝐂 was not so happy to see his result as Reno had expected. The reason for this was that 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 always fails in the second test. However, a big question is standing in front of us whether 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 is going to give his second test in the body of this cashew. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 says yes and says that no one will know while his face had turned back to that of a cashew. So friends, to join the defense force, candidates have to pass 3 types of exams, in which the first is a return test, and the second exam is of the physical test which Reno and 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 are going to give, and you will know about the third and last test later. And yes, to give this physical exam, all the candidates from all over Japan come to give the exam, and because 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 has turned 32 years old, that means this is his last chance to join the defense force. Reno says that in that field, we both will be rivals, and he will not help him there. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 smiles and starts opening the bottle cap, which he does not open due to which he breaks it by becoming a cashew. Reno had raised his hands. He was refusing to let 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 take the exam. 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 falls at his feet and says that he will manage himself till the exam, but Reno does not believe him and leaves from there. Now after Reno leaves, 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝐂 starts talking to himself. He thinks that if he had failed and Reno had passed, then Reno would never have called him sir, and now 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝐂𝑂𝐂's Kaiju form starts disappearing on its own. Anyway, his exam was going to be held at the Tachikawa base of the defense force, and after seeing the security here, he had realized that if 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝑂𝐂 becomes Kaiju here, even by mistake, then he will be dealt with immediately. Like those people, other candidates have also come here, one of whom calls 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝑂𝑂𝐂 uncle. Hearing which, 𝐃𝐈𝐒𝑂𝑂𝑂 gets angry because he is just 32 years old. Reno tells him the truth that people age 32 are called uncle. Anyway, That girl was asking him to remove his van from here because she will park her G-Wagon here, because today her lucky number is 5, which is 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 has the parking point number. 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 gets angry and the girl starts taking off her clothes. Seeing this, 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 closes his eyes. We see that the girl was wearing some kind of suit which was getting charged. With the help of the suit, she lifted his car and threw it away. The girl's name is 𝐂𝐒𝐲𝐲𝐫𝐢, who is an exam candidate like him whose hobby is killing cashew. Now she asks 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 to be careful because she was smelling cashews from inside 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿. Reno tries to understand the matter. 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 comes and says that we deal with cashew disposal. Then Kiriko's eyes fall on 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿, who had lifted a heavy van with his hands. 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿, pretending to be cool, says that 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 will remember the name Hibino. For the little girl Kiriko, this exam was just a formality, but after getting impressed by 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿, she is going to have a lot of fun defeating 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿. Saying this, Kaira leaves from there. But now 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 will have to bear the wrath of Reno. 𝐂𝐿𝐒𝐿 explains to her that he had transformed only that part which she could not see, but Reno does not get convinced. Then the security there scolds him and sends him inside. Now the fitness test begins, and 𝐂𝐿𝐒 was performing very poorly from the beginning. His 32 years of age was becoming a hindrance between the young boys. Kafka's rank came 219 out of 225 candidates, while Kiko's position came 5th, which she showed to 𝐂𝐿𝐒 by showing him her old age. The words remind him of 𝐂𝐿𝐒, who while crying tells him that it came out of my mouth that I will die God, but Reno was proud of 𝐂𝐿𝐒 that he did not cheat in the exam by using his power. 𝐂𝐿𝐒 also thought that if he played the game honestly, then he would look great. But now he was regretting, because now he would hardly be able to pass. Reno tells him that the problem was not his age. This time, all the candidates have come great, especially 𝐂𝐒𝐲𝐲𝐫𝐢, who had completed her graduation from California neutralization at the age of 16. The biggest competition for everyone here, which 𝐂𝐿𝐒 had messed up as soon as he came. And then Kiko comes to 𝐂𝐿𝐒 and says that, so you got to know the truth about Kiriko. 𝐂𝐿𝐒 was very surprised to know the truth. He holds Kiriko tightly, and then Kiriko's bodyguards beat 𝐂𝐿𝐒, and after this, Koro teases him and leaves from there. 𝐂𝐿𝐒 challenges him to defeat him, but before that he has to pass the exam. Reno gives him an amazing news that for the last 2 years, in the 3rd exam, the task of cleaning the body of Kazu is given. This will reveal the knowledge of the candidates about Kazu, and that is why Reno did the work of disposing the body of Kazu part-time. Now we come to know that this exam is going to be conducted under the supervision of Vice Captain Hoshino, and their real exam was to find and kill Kazu. 𝐂𝐿𝐒 and Reno both were surprised, but it was not as if they would be thrown in front of Kazu just like that. All the candidates are given Izumo Tech gear suits. This is the same suit that officers wear while facing Kazu. This suit increases the ability of a normal human many times, but it also matters who is wearing this suit. This suit made from the body of Kazu sticks completely to the body of the officers, as if it is a part of their own body. The thickness of this suit is 8 centimeters. Kagura was able to use 18 power of this suit. A candidate named Hachi was able to use 18 power of this suit. AI Kagura was able to use 15 power of this suit. IRU was able to use 18 power of this suit, and actually this is a very good number because despite good training, many officers are never able to move beyond 20. But Kikyo Shino surprised everyone there. She was able to use 49 power of this suit, which was the highest score among the candidates till now. But there was another person who created history there. 𝐂𝐿𝐒 Hibino, whose unleashed power was showing 0. Till date, no such candidate has come forward who is not able to use even 1 power of the suit. This was almost impossible at one place. 𝐂𝐿𝐒 was not able to understand why this is happening with him only, while Kikyo feels that 𝐂𝐿𝐒 is playing a game with him because he is a sample of Kafka's power. I had seen them in the parking lot itself, but there was another person among them whose 𝐂𝐿𝐒 had become entertainment. In the field where their exam is going to be held, there is a big Hojikazu and 36 Yojikazu. These are the same Kazus who were caught last year, who killed 16 people in Hachiok. It is obvious that these people can lose their lives in this exam, and that is why all the candidates will be monitored through drones, and if it seems that the life of any candidate is in danger, then the shield present in their suit will be activated, but with this he will be failed in the exam. But there was not a wrinkle on anyone's face, and all those people jump into the field that Core using the power of his suit, killed 𝐂𝐤𝐲𝐲𝐫 in a different style. On the one hand, 𝐂𝐒𝐿𝐒𝐂𝐄, who had challenged to defeat 𝐂𝐒𝐿, was not able to even lift the gun without the power of the suit. Then it is announced among all the candidates that Captain Mina, the captain of the 3rd Division, has also come to see this exam, and the secret I want to tell you is that Mina has come here only after seeing Kafka's name among the candidates. Kafka remembers the promise he made to Mina. Kafka starts thinking with a calm mind. He realizes that so many drones should not be used to keep an eye on every moment. Actually, in this exam, the examiners will also judge how each candidate adapts himself in every situation. Kafka decides to support every attacker with Reno. All the candidates who have been left in this field cannot see, but their hearing ability is very sharp. That's why a sound bomb was deliberately given in the suits of all the candidates, and Kaf has done so much for his old work. As far as he knows, he had helped everyone by telling about Yojo's weakness. The vice captain was also surprised to see Kafka's sudden improvement. Kafka's confidence had increased a lot that he can pass the exam even without his powers. And then another Yojo attacks him. This sudden attack damaged Kafka's bones and some sensitive organs. Kafka was not able to get up. His shield was also about to be opened. Kafka was still trying to get up because Mina was watching him. That kaiju had also come very close to him. The shield was also about to be opened, but suddenly Kiriko goes there, and by killing Yojo, she saved Kafka from getting disqualified. She says that no one can lose in her presence, and after putting Kafka on, she was going straight towards Hanju. Let me tell you that the gear suit also increases the capacity of weapons. That is why Kaoru was able to kill all the kaiju easily. Now here, because Kafka's leg was broken, so it was almost impossible for him to continue in the test. He is advised to give up, but Kikyo's passion was not letting him give up. His human spirit increases the suit's unleashed power to 0.0. He stood back on his feet, probably because of the suit. The vice captain also gives him permission to continue. Kikyo tells Reno to move forward without worrying about him, as he had said before the exam, but Reno is standing with him. Kikyo also knew Reno's stubbornness very well. He starts running with Kikyo on his back. Seeing this, Vice Captain Hoshino's laughter was not stopping, and now Reno also started feeling a little ashamed. He starts running even faster, using his suit's power. On the other hand, after finishing all the Yogesh, Kikyo Shinomiya first throws a grenade at Hoju due to the pain of which he started screaming. Taking advantage of this opportunity, she kicks him in the face. She gets alert and attacks him with a unique bullet in his mouth. Hoju was dead and the exam was over. All the drones were called back and a medical team was sent for the injured. Kaoru's performance caught even Mina's attention, and this was the first time that the exam was over so quickly and no one was out in the exam. After all, what else could be expected from the director's daughter? After proving herself in front of her father, she was going to make fun of Kafka for the 4th time, but we see another kaiju behind Kiger who shot at Kiger's heart. Suddenly, the dead kaiju start coming back to life, and their color also suddenly changed. Kafka was also feeling the presence of a strong kaiju. We see that Kaoru saved his heart by using the full power of his suit, and this suit made from the body of the kaiju starts healing his injury. Kaoru surprised even Kafka that he is alive even after his attack. Kiko was also surprised that this kaiju could talk like humans. Even its thinking was like humans. It had pierced Kiko's body. The department was also surprised that how can a dead kaiju come back to life? The scientist tells that the revived Hoju is showing 42.6.4, which means that the entire defense force will be needed to defeat it. That unknown kaiju disappears back into the smoke. Now we see that the form of that Hoju has completely changed. Vice Captain Hoshino knew very well that only 2 people in the 3rd Division can defeat it. First Captain Mina, and secondly he himself. Kaoru was trying to get up while healing her injury, but that kaiju hits her against the wall. She was badly injured in this, but she does not give up because Kiko has to be perfect for her father. Kiko Shinomiya was always a topper. Everyone often praised her, but she never got what everyone had. Kaoru's father never appreciated her. He wanted his daughter to be perfect. Remembering these things, Kaoru stands up once again, but despite her best efforts, she was not able to stand in front of him for a moment. Rather, one of her hands was badly broken. Hoju was enlarging his lion and charging his body for his powerful attack. Captain Mina and Vice Captain Hoshino were still far away from the field. Kiko had also accepted her defeat. Hanju also attacked Kiko, and then Kiko sees Kafka in front of her. That attack destroyed a large part of the place, but due to Kafka's power, both of them are saved. We come to know that as soon as Kafka came to know about Kiko that she is fighting with Hoju alone, he immediately disappeared to save her. Here Kiko was also confused that Kafka is a Kazu. Kafka looks at her and starts requesting Kiko not to tell this to anyone. Then Hanju again fires an energy blast, but Kafka deflected that attack with his own hand, and now he starts charging his body again. Here the monitor was showing the signal of a new kaiju whose fortitude was 99.8, which was the highest fortitude among all the kaiju seen till date, and it is right next to the same Hoju. They ignore it, thinking that it must be a glitch in the system, otherwise it must be the most powerful kaiju in history. Here Kafka lands a punch on that Hoju with his full power, due to which the skin on his bones started disappearing, and his body is torn to pieces. Kaf says while delivering a dialogue that now show me that you are alive, and that Yojo's body really starts reacting. Kafka's ki bursts and he starts apologizing to her, after which Hanju breaks his breath again. After this, Kafka looks at Kaoru with terrifying eyes and kills the Yojo who was behind him. Kafka tells him that he will not let anything happen to him, and also explains to him that he should not put himself in such danger. Then Reno also kills Kafka and says the same thing to him. Kafka starts giving explanation that the problem was so big. In the meantime, Koro becomes unconscious. Now after some time we see that Mina and Hoshino have reached the side, but Hanju had already been killed. Seeing Hoju in such a condition, Hoshino remembers something. Then he gets an update that 3 more candidates have reached the safe shelter. Hoshino suspected that this accident is related to that case that happened 9 months ago. Now the next day in the hospital we come to know that Kafka was not much injured, and now Kiko's condition is also better than before. After all, the best technology was being used in her treatment, which Kafka was not liking. Why is she getting special treatment, although Kaoru was also more injured? However, today Kafka has learned a big lesson that while chasing your dream, there's always someone who is better than you and can snatch your dream. That is why even if Ka fails today, he will not regret, because this time he had put in all his effort. For this he thanks Reno for encouraging him till here. Mina standing outside was also listening to their conversation, and then she comes inside and thanks for helping Kiko. Kafka wanted to talk to her, but he has decided that he will talk to Mina only when she has the uniform of the defense force on her body. On the other hand, Kaoru was apologizing to her father, because this time she was not perfect. Vice Captain Hoshino comes to meet him there, who had come to thank him for killing Ushihoju. Hearing this, Gaara gets sad because the truth was something else. Seeing the disappointment on his face, the captain asks Hoshino, did it not happen that Goru says that she had killed that Hoju? By the way, today's frightening incident was also being broadcast on TV, which the unknown Kaiju was listening to in the public toilet. He was surprised that who could have killed such a powerful Hoju, and suddenly his phone starts ringing. It was a call from his colleagues who were asking him to come out quickly. This Kaiju transforms his body into a human form, and along with him were Kafka's old friends who are unaware of the reality of this Kaiju. Now after this, Kafka and Runo returned to their work for a few months and were waiting for the result, and today their result is going to come, due to which Kafka was very worried. Then his boss tells him that letters have come in his name. This was Kafka's last chance. Will he ever be able to stand equal to Mina by passing the exam? Now the scene shifts to the Defense Force headquarters, where all the past Reno was also present among the candidates who had gathered, but Kafka was nowhere to be seen. We come to know that Kiko's childhood friend is also in the same division after passing. Here Reno meets 𝐂𝐸HA, and in their first meeting itself they both become good friends. 𝐂𝐸HA asks Reno about Kafka. Reno also got a little disappointed while telling. Then Captain Mina comes on the stage to welcome all the new officers, and because Kiker had topped, he is also called on the stage to take the oath. After the oath is over, Mina once again thanks Kiker for handling the sudden mess that happened in the middle of the exam. However, Kiker knew very well that he did not deserve these things. There her eyes were searching for Kafka, and then the mischievous Kafka enters the room. Seeing him, Kaoru starts blushing. Many people were surprised to see Kafka there. Actually, Kafka had also failed in the exam, due to which Mina was about to say something, but then Hoshino says that he will keep him in his division. It was obvious that Kafka's marks could not make him pass in any way, but not thinking about his points during the exam and supporting others, even finding out Kafka's weaknesses. All these were big reasons to give Kafka another chance. And also that boy is very funny. So before making Kafka a full officer, he will be trained and tested. And that is why Kafka was kept out of the oath ceremony. But despite this, many people were happy to see Kafka here. Now ending the ceremony, Mina gives the ending speech. First of all, she congratulates everyone for passing this difficult exam, but now the difficulties are going to increase even more. In these few years, the number of kaiju and their strength have been seen increasing. In some cases, dead kaiju have been seen coming back to life. It was obvious that their journey ahead is going to be very difficult, in which many people also lost their lives, but despite this, Mina wants everyone to trust her, and she will protect everyone like a shield. Kafka shouts Mina's name and says that she is always standing with him. Everyone was looking at Kafka. Kafka had spoken so loudly by mistake, but as a punishment for taking the name of a senior, he is given the punishment of 100 push-ups. Seeing this, Hoshino was unable to stop laughing. He tells Mina that he has given less punishment to Kafka, but then he sees Mina smiling. By the way, we have to know about Hoshino's reason for keeping Kafka here. The real reason is also revealed. Actually, when the dead kaiju started coming back to life, there was one kaiju whose amplitude was 99.8, which they ignored at that time, but there was another one whose vital organs suddenly stopped showing. Along with this, Kafka is very mysterious. He was the first one whose suit's amplitude was showing 0. Hoshino suspects that some truth is in front of her, but is hidden from her. Now, after Kafka completes his push-ups, Kaoru asks him to come with her. Iharu, making fun of him, asks if he is going to propose her, on which Kiko gets angry and beats Kafka and brings him with her, after which Kafka tells her the whole story from the hospital till now, which Kaoru is not able to believe. After all, how can someone eat cashews when he is hungry? Kafka feels that he should tell this to the defense force. Maybe they can find a cure for him, so that Kaoru can take him home. She refuses to even think about it, because weapons for the defense force are made by killing powerful kaiju. Surely the same will be done with Kafka as well, or different kinds of experiments will be done on his body every day. Kafka starts requesting him not to tell this to anyone, and coming so close to him, Kafka separates him by hitting him, and says that Kafka saved her life, so she will remain quiet. But if she comes to know that Kafka is going to kill humans by becoming a kaiju, then she will kill Kafka herself. Reino gets scared after hearing this. Kafka smiles and says that yes, if this happens, then kill him. From this day onwards, Reino started working harder in his training. His timing in shooting practice was 2 minutes 35 seconds, and now he was able to use 18% power of the suit, but because of this he's got a competitor along with a friend, i.e. Haru, whose timing was 2 minutes 15 seconds, and now he is able to use 20% power of his suit. Kiko was able to use the 100 cubic centimeters power, but defeating both of them, Kiko gave a timing of 1 minute 16 seconds, and now she was able to use 55 cubic centimeters power of her suit. Haruichi and Akeo also got their respective competitors, and Kafka, whose shooting time was 6 minutes 39 seconds, and now he was able to use 1 cubic centimeter power of his suit, was the happiest after doing this. The voice captain tells him that if this continues, then Kafka will be shown the way out of the competition, and ending today's training, he asks everyone to take 15 rounds of the field. Now after the training, everyone had come to take a hot water bath where IHA was showing off his muscles, and then Kafka shows his muscles to everyone. Seeing which Reino and IHA were surprised, but Kafka was trying to hide his belly by holding his breath, in which the poor guy fails and becomes a joke. But then Akeo comes there to take bot, seeing whose body everyone jumps in the water in shame. On the other hand, Kaoru also came with her friends to take bot, but Mina was already present there. Mina asked them to come inside. She was about to leave after drying her hair, but Kaoru notices Mina's body muscles here, which were in the right amount, and Mina's combat power is also very high. So Kiko asks her the reason behind this. Mina asks her to stand next to her. She was going to teach her basic exercise, and on the other hand, the boys were talking about the reason for their joining the defense force. When Haru was in school, Mina saved his life from a cashew nut. Since then, he wants to become like Mina. The reason for everyone joining the defense force was somehow Mina. Now, IHA asks Kafka the reason, and Kafka tells them everything truthfully. He told that he and Mina were childhood friends, and they had also made childhood promises. He made everyone jealous by telling his story. They wanted to know more about Mina, and for that they were ready to climb on Kafka, but due to staying in water for a long time, their condition had worsened. But to improve themselves, everyone was working hard with heart and soul. Meanwhile, Mina's tiger had probably recognized Kafka's real identity, but suddenly he himself gets confused. But despite such hard training, Kafka was not showing any special progress, but Reno and everyone were definitely supporting him. One night, Kafka was studying late night when Vice Captain Hoshino comes there, who had come to advise him that along with hard work, rest is also necessary. He already knew the reason for Kafka's hard work, because everything spoken in the dome is recorded. The Vice Captain asks Kafka, "Should I understand that you are trying to take my place?" Kafka refuses in a hurry, but the truth was that yes, he will take his place, which he also accepts here, and the Captain Hoshino hits the table hard and gives Kafka 2 hours, after which he switches off the lights and locks the door and goes to his room to rest. But he also says that he will not let Kafka take his place, and also tells Kafka not to get attached to anyone, because there is no guarantee of life in their work. Then the emergency alarm starts ringing loudly in the entire base. It was a casual alert, meaning that the time for their first mission has come. A very big hanju is seen in Sagamiya, around which and inside it, a large number of 𝐂𝐲𝐲𝐫 are present. Mina says that she will handle the hanju alone and asks the others to cooperate with her. The work of taking the common people away from Sagamiya was started, and the defense force also set out to kill all those Kaiju. Kaoru has not been able to believe till now that Kafka sitting in front of her is the same Kaiju number 8, but she has a lot of expectations from Kafka. Then Kafka starts vomiting, and Kiko was sitting right in front of him. Due to the nervousness of the mission, Kafka had eaten too much. Anyway, the defense force makes a plan that Hanju will be killed in the central area of the city, so that the city is harmed as little as possible. Although Hoju is quite big, the real danger is the small Yaju who is creating Hoju. The job of all the officers was to somehow stop all the Yoju in the central area, for which the officers of all the divisions are divided into multiple rows, and Kafka's batch was in the last row. Mina would also have reached her position in 8 minutes. This is a good opportunity for Kafka to prove herself, but she is not ready to do so in this mission. He is scared, nervous, and in pain at the same time. Despite this, he was excited because this was what Kafka always wanted to do. Then they get a report of Yojo being seen in Sector 8. They all jumped straight from the building. Kafka was also excited to make his first mission memorable. So friends, this is the end of today's story. We will meet again in another anime recap. Till then, subscribe to our channel.